basi si anasherehekea kifo cha ndugu yake. Ni nani mwenye akili zake timamu ataacha urithi au peane kwa ndugu yake, asahau watoto wake, asahau bibi zake, asahau binamu zake, hali yeye anasema kwamba yeye ni mtu uko na mali? Mimi sijawahi kumuunga mkono kwa lolote, na ninajua nyumba hii iko na hisia tofauti kulingana na masuala ya deputy president. Wakati nilipeleka public participation Kilifi South, 95%
Give him 1 minute.
Na asante sana Mstahiki Speaker. Na asije akasema ya kwamba yeye alichaguliwa na watu sijui milioni 7, na ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba sisi ambao tuko hapa kama wabunge, sisi ndio tuna represent wale watu ambao walitualika pale. Kwa hivyo asiseme kwamba sisi hatuna uwezo wa kutoa amri au mamlaka ya kwamba yeye agatuliwe mamlakani. Langu ninasihi, wakati umefika. Unajua Mungu akitaka kukumaliza hukuweka kichaa. Mimi sijasema kwamba deputy president akona kichaa. Ninasema tu ya kwamba matamshi yake kama hata chunga yataelekeza kwamba tumshuku katika akili zake. Asante Mstahiki Speaker.
Bashir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to make it clear that I support this special motion by Honorable Mutuse. Honorable Speaker, there are 11 counts as contained in this special motion. What these 11 counts in total summarize and talk about is gross misconduct and issues of integrity. The holder of the office of the Deputy President is not a small man. He is just a heartbeat away from the presidency. Looking at the behaviors, actions, utterances of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua shows you that he does not befit to hold the office of the Deputy President. Honorable, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has been talking about Murima. But one thing I want people to know is that the same Murima has people who have been elected by the same representative and who are in this house representing the people of Mount Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua is not the sole representative of Mount Kenya. They have MPs, they have women reps, they have senators, they have governors. He is supposed to represent each and every part of this country called Kenya. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand that bit. Sometimes in July, in a well-attended press conference in Mombasa, intelligence services, and especially in the person of Director General. Now, look at this case. The Deputy President is a member of NSAC, the National Security Advisory Council. He sits in that council. If there are issues that he has with individuals running those institutions, the best place will have been that council. Now, you've been the Deputy President of the country. Instead of addressing matters in a perfect and constitutional manner, you address the press and taint the images of such officers, critical officers of security. That itself is quite unfortunate. Honorable Speaker, I listened to the press conference last night. One thing that perturbed me was the issue of His Excellency saying, I have gotten all these wealth from my brother. Now I'm asking myself, he doesn't have wealth of his own? that he can tell the people? How come he is the one who gets more of the shares than the widows and the orphans? It's also unfortunate that the same Rigathi Gachagua was at one point a district officer in 1997. He was sacked for stealing relief food. What is relief food supposed to go to? To the vulnerable people, vulnerable community of that area. He stole the relief food. We cannot continue to entrust one Rigathi Gachagua with the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. We call upon this House to make history for the first time under the new Constitution to say that Rigathi Gachagua does not befit to hold the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The President and the Deputy President are supposed to work in harmony. They are not working in harmony. The President sometimes goes out of the country.
Sorry. Ruth Odinga. Give her the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise today not just as a member of this esteemed House, but as a daughter, a sister, and a proud descendant of those who fought tirelessly for the freedom we hold dear. I urge us to reflect on the values upon which our great nation was built as we consider the impeachment of the Deputy President. I want to take you back to the times before independence. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is one of the people who fought for independence. And the colonialists actually offered him to be to become the president of Kenya. He declined and left that for Jomo Kenyatta to become the president. And in 1964, Jaramogi became the first vice president of the Republic of Kenya. Exactly 2 years down the line, like the 2 years we now have with the deputy president, Jaramogi decided that due to the ideologies that he was holding, which differed from the president, he decided to step down and leave the position of vice president, not for his own good, but for the greater good of the Republic of Kenya. He actually stepped down. I would like, in my own statement, to ask the deputy president that Kenya is larger than you. Kenya is a big country that we need to protect. If I were you, Mr. Deputy President, please take the honorable route that some of your predecessors had taken and step down from this position of presidency. Don't take Kenya through the valley of the abyss the dark abyss you want Kenya to go through. Secondly, I would like to say something. I was not one of the people who was actually wanting this impeachment of the deputy president. I felt that the deputy president's impeachment was not the main problems that we were having in Kenya, and that we had other issues. But having heard how the president spoke last night, I am completely convinced from that statement that the deputy president must go, and he must go as soon as possible. One of the reasons why I say that is that we are not here for our personal grandiose and our personal wealth. Kenya, if the deputy president is mourning because his father is going to turn in his grave because of the wealth that is being accused of, I wonder what the people like Bildad Kagia, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and all those who fought for us to get through this, to get to where we are, through multi-party. Oginga Odinga and all went through house arrest. detention, to make sure that we get the multi-party that we are enjoying in this country, the democracy that we are enjoying. How are they feeling in their grave when now the deputy president is talking about making Kenya a company? What company are you talking about, and shareholders? When Kenya is a country that we have a sovereign country in Kenya. Mr. Deputy President, I was a bit on your side, but you have hanged yourself with your own rope. Whoever informed you to go to the TV yesterday did you a very big disservice. And for that, I support the motion.
Mbura Aburi.
Asanti Bwana Spika kunipa nafasi hii. Yangu ni kidogo sana. Nikusema eti ya kwamba tunataka naibu wa rais yule ambaye si mkabila. Kwa sababu nchi yetu ya Kenya ni kubwa sana kusinda mtu. Tukiongea mambo ya mlima kule kwangu Tigania East, tuko katikati ya mlima. Lakini ukiangalia katika hii kitabu ambaye ukiangalia haya mashtaka yaliyo katika kitabu hii, ukiangalia ile mashtaka katika kitabu hii, ile zile kampani zote ziko hapa ni za Gachagua, bibi yake na watoto wake. Hakuna Mutigania, hakuna Mwegembe, hakuna Muimenti, hakuna Mluya. That means yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anatetea tumbo yake. Ndipo mimi niko hapa kusema eti ya kwamba sisi hatupembelezani. Sisi tunasema kwamba lazima aende nyumbani kwa sababu amekataa kuangalia mambo ya wananchi wa Kenya, na Kenya ni kubwa. Ingine ni hii. Mimi nimekaa kule East Africa Community kipindi ya miaka 5. Nilikuwa na Jematia ambaye ni nanda yangu. Katika kipindi ya miaka 5 sijawahi kusikia Jematia akiwa no malaya, lakini naibu wa rais alisimama akasema kwamba Jematia ni malaya. Ya kwamba mimi nikiwa Mporo Mtwabori na support naibu wa rais aende nyumbani. Asante sana. Thank you.
Women Rep Busia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support with a lot of strength this motion because many times I thought I was a tenant in Kenya. And I know I was born and raised in this nation. When a leader of a national figure discriminates openly, I left myself wondering if we can keep allowing to be divided every day. And yet, as leaders, we must be a factor that unites all Kenyans. I want to ask the Deputy President, what message was he sending to Busians who voted for Honorable Maina in Marachi West, in Butlak Sub-County? And what message was he sending to Busians who voted for Honorable Talam in Buhayo West, in Matayos, Busia County? We should be free from Mombasa to Turkana, any person of any race, any tribe, to stand and be elected without being pointed at as this one belonging to a particular region and that one not belonging to our region. Because Kenya is our country and we are here in this country to build it. If we don't join, because if you go as an individual, you are a drop in the ocean. But together as Kenyans, we are an ocean. So I want to ask again, what other thing a principal assistant is supposed to do? According to me, unless you have a shrunken hippocampus in your brain, then you go displaying what your master is doing instead of being the real assistant of even covering up. One day he says, I was sent all these things I was saying. I was sent all these things I'm saying. It's like he is wearing an oversized coat, oversized trouser, a tumbo cut vest, and oversized shoe. He does not understand his role as a principal assistant. We must unravel from the seams of our fabric in this country. Because sometimes you can be wearing a dress or a trouser, but something keeps biting you unless you unravel or open up the seam to know what is biting you, you will continue losing blood and become anemic. So people of any nation are stronger than the people in power. All leaders in this nation must be responsible of the utterances they puke every day, because what will our future leaders be saying? I am, or who is our role model? Who is their role model? All of us must be responsible not to give hate speech anywhere we go. And I don't think there is a tribe in Kenya that is superior than others. Whether you come from Eastern in Garissa or you come from Siamahanga village where I live, you are equal. Article 27, Section 4 is clear about this, that we should not discriminate. When I hear a widow in Mount Kenya being tortured, being snatched property by the deputy president, whether she is Kikuyu and she's a widow, she is representing all the widows in Kenya. So Gachagua return the matrimonial property, the bank accounts, everything that you took from that widow in Nyeri. Because I was raised by a widow and I know what happens when such things happen. A widow should be given their rights, whether you have all the muscle in the nation. And thirdly, a leader who does not respect women, that one is not a leader. Calling women prostitutes. So when a woman is being a prostitute, who is the other prostitute? Then he must be the one. Because if you call me a prostitute, was I doing myself? There must be somebody in a trouser too. And we do not want to be discriminated. We have been dating, marriage, we marry Kikuyu, Luya, Teso, Kamba. That should continue happening than us growing up or children fearing to marry from Mount Kenya or fearing to marry from Nyanza. That is wrong. So growing up or children fearing to marry home, we really want him to just take a rest. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Muya, what's your point of order?
Speaker, I'm on standing order number 91 on matters of facts and substantiating what the member is speaking of. The issue of Malaya have been adversely mentioned in this House. Have you as the Speaker received anything to substantiate? Honorable Speaker, it is on record that the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy President has been crossing the whole country campaigning for the same women, especially in Mount Kenya where he was assigned. So it is unfair that members can continue repeating, you cannot substantiate, and there is no evidence. We should
You've
have
made your
evidence.
point. Honorable members, order. Take your seat. Honorable members, I want, with your concurrence, to reduce the time of the speakers to 2 minutes. Is that agreed? Is that agreed? For the purpose of the record, I'll put the question that we reduce time for speakers from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. As many as of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Didymus, 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to be very clear that I support this impeachment motion. I say so because Kenya, we have more than 42 tribes. And it was never our permission to decide which tribe you belong to, Honorable Speaker. And we want every part of our country to feel part and parcel or properly represented by our Deputy President. The continued dividing of our country in shares, Honorable Speaker, in terms of how many votes that a particular area voted for the government, Mr. Speaker, it is making parts of this country feel like they're not part of this country. I think, in a nutshell, Honorable Speaker, because of time, I want to summarize what I want to say by saying that Kenya as a country, the position of the Deputy President, it requires a patriot. It requires an individual whom, when he speaks, the country listens with optimism. It doesn't require an individual who, when he opens his mouth, part of this country begins to bleed. This country doesn't require a villager in the name of the deputy president. It requires a patriot, a statesman. And this house, Mr. Speaker, we will go down in the history of this country because the war against tribalism, the war against segregating this country along shareholding lines, it's a war that we have come a long way, Honorable Speaker. It's a war that we vowed that we must win it in installments, and today we are paying the last installment. Regarding Gachagua must go home, not by walking, but by running, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Member for Wajir West. Please, here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First, I rise, Mr. Speaker, reluctantly but firmly in support of all the articles of this motion. Mr. Speaker, I say reluctantly because of the following reasons. Normally, Mr. Speaker, as a Muslim leader, I don't rush to support this grave matter like this, to remove the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya from office after just 2 years of election. But because of the conduct, the behavior of the Deputy President of this country, Mr. Speaker, I have no option but to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, I am a witness who went to the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to request for assistance during the drought season, to request for relief food for the people of Wajir West. But the utterances of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya was shocking, Mr. Speaker. He told me, Mr. Speaker, and I want to confirm to this House, that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya told me you have more than your share. It was shocking. I was dejected, hopeless, and left the office in protest, Mr. Speaker. Who disrespected and discriminated against the people I represent in this House. Mr. Speaker, today, as we speak, it's a historical day. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, for unity of this House, of the country.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Member for Tetu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You have 2
Mr.
minutes.
Speaker, from the onset, I rise to oppose this motion, to this special motion on removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, down in the spirit of Ubuntu, it is not good to crash it. On Sunday, the Deputy President at the National Prayer Altar stood and apologized profusely to his boss, to fellow Kenyans, and indeed to all the members of this House. Mr. Speaker, I feel that our party, UDA, on which the Deputy President was elected, has internal disciplinary mechanisms which have not been exhausted so as to bring this matter to this House. I also feel that in the spirit of us finishing the agenda that we promised Kenyan, this matter can wait to 2027 so that we can focus on service delivery to our people. Mr. Speaker, I will personally request the members of this House to find it in their heart to forgive the Deputy President. And I will personally.
Mr. Speaker, you have had honorable member telling this House that in UDA they had not exhausted their disciplinary mechanism. Why did he then decide to sign on the motion? Why did he sign?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. The matter of...
One day to finish up.
I did not finish.
Not go on, you have half a minute.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the matter of my signing, you talked about it, and the matter is rested. Wanjara can come to your office for further explanation. Mr. Speaker, I personally would like to volunteer to lead other leaders in this country, elders, bishops, to ensure that we sit down with the Deputy President so that if there are any issues that he needs to correct, if there are any issues that he needs to align, he can align so that himself can continue serving the people of this country. He has some good in himself, and that good needs to be preserved so that he can finish his work. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose. Thank you.
Umi. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion of impeachment because of many reasons. Mr. Speaker, as a young person and as a representative of the House for the Youth, I wonder how many young people of this country can walk into a bank and access a loan of 600 million shillings without any guarantees of any sort. Mr. Speaker, this is a representation of impunity. The Deputy President stood before the media yesterday as a national leader to defend his children. I respect that he stood to defend his children, but how many children of this country has he given a chance for them to access the same benefits? Myself included, I cannot access a loan of that amount of money. Mr. Speaker, this impeachment motion is not just an impeachment because of difference of ideology, but it will be a symbol of democracy for our country, that people who abuse their powers can go home, regardless of whatever position they hold. Mr. Speaker, I come from Garissa County. We lost resident accident as they were accessing to cross a river because of the flood scandal. Mr. Speaker, out of the 10 billion shillings that he had under his pocket, he only gave us 48 million shillings and disappeared and never showed up again. Mr. Speaker, what can 48 million shillings do for people who are suffering? Mr. Speaker, he did not even step in Wajir and Mandera. This is a deputy president of the whole country. I support the impeachment. He must go home and create a room for other people to get that position. Maybe it's time for other regions to be deputies so that we can get the same benefits. Mr. Speaker, I can even do a good job myself. Mr. Speaker.
Your time is up, Jen Kagiri. If you read the Constitution, you'll know that you don't qualify to be a deputy president at your age. Jen Kagiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, when I was elected in the year 2022, in the month of August, I was a very grateful person to God, and I knew my work was to serve the people of Laikipia County. A county that is cosmopolitan, that has Pokot, that has Turkanas, that has Maasais, that has Samburus, that has the Muslims, it has the Somalis, and all these people, inclusive of the Kikuyus, came together and gave me their votes. That is what comprises of Laikipia County. Honorable Speaker, the point at which I differed with His Excellency the Deputy President is when he started talking about Mlima. I realized Laikipia County is not Mlima after all, because Mlima, people have running water from taps. In Mlima, people have tarmac roads. In Mlima, people don't suffer human-wildlife conflicts. But in Laikipia County, we have all those challenges. So, Honorable Speaker, that was the first point where we differed. The second point, Your Honorable Speaker, is when there was the talk of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. In Laikipia County, we are among the counties that have the least population. When you talk of 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, it means you're talking of reduction on resources for my people. That one I would not accept. Honorable Speaker, I remain a Kikuyu. But sadly, since our difference in opinion with His Excellency the Deputy President, I have been the poster girl of his intimidation, of his insults, of his blackmail, of his coercion, telling me that I should not engage the national government, that I should not follow up for resources for my people. Honorable Speaker, once in a while, a generation is called upon to stand for something. Today, I stand for an end to insult, a respect to the dignity of leaders, a respect to my people, Honorable Speaker.
Give her a minute. Give her, okay, wind up.
Honorable Speaker, in my conclusion, I must state, Many people have called us traitors, have us received for this action. But Honorable Speaker, I want to make it very clear. I need no money for the restoration of dignity in this house. I need no money for the restoration of respect to women in this house. I need no money for resources to reach my people of Laikipia County. Honorable Speaker, I submit and I support. Thank you.
Oundo.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, my attention is drawn to Article 125 of the Constitution. And Article 125 of the Constitution makes reference to the effect that any matter before that the Parliament has got the same powers as High Court. Out of that, Honorable Speaker, then I'm left to look at the evidence presented by my good friend, Honorable Mutuse, and wonder, does it really meet the threshold of any form of evidence as required in there, as required at the High Court? Honorable Speaker, I have looked at the various options or breaches that constitute impeachment: gross violation, crime, gross misconduct, and so many other things, Honorable Speaker. I'm at pain, Honorable Speaker, going through this to find anything that has been proved beyond reasonable doubt to move this House, Honorable Speaker, to take such a drastic action. Considering, Honorable Speaker, these are people elected under Article 148, and the framers of the new Constitution, Honorable Speaker, deliberately inserted Article 148 to avoid the kind of abuse that had been there in the past. Honorable Speaker, if we get to this level, Honorable Speaker, if we get to this level, everybody will be left wondering, what is the role of Parliament in protecting the Constitution? Honorable Speaker, and I want to rephrase Luke 23, verse 4. I find no case against this.
Roku. He didn't ask for it. Roku. He didn't ask for any addition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from onset, I rise to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, when I'm standing here, I'm thinking about the children of the most remote places in the Republic of Kenya. I'm thinking about the children in the remote places in Turkana, in Mandera, in Bere, very remote places, Mr. Speaker. It reminds me on Article 10 of our Constitution, which talks about the national values and principles of governance. And one of the principles which is enshrined in our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, is protection of the marginalized. We have seen the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, who in many occasions has forgotten that he represents even the most marginalized places, corners of our country. That the numbers of these small communities in the Republic, they have the right, just like any other big community in our Republic. We have seen the smirk, the arrogance, the contempt which the Deputy President of the Republic has to the minority groups in the Republic of Kenya. And coming from a marginalized community, a community which has been marginalized from 1963, Mr. Speaker, I want to state here and now that it's high time we sanitize the office of the Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, last week on Sunday, I was in...
Your time is up.
In Narok.
Your time is up. Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also stand to support the motion by my good brother, reaching the person of the Deputy President of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, under unwarranted discrimination in contravention of Article 27, Part 3 and 4 of the Constitution. The Deputy President has expressed that he only considers people, he considers shareholders. Honorable Speaker, on the 2 occasions that the Deputy President came to Gusiland, on the first occasion while addressing leaders, he told us that the reason why, as Kisses, we should not demand for more things from the government is because we always vote for Mutu wa kitendawili, to quote him. On the second occasion, the Honorable Deputy President told us that siku hizi wa Kisii tumejaa jela kushinda wa Kikuyu. I'm wondering, Honorable Speaker, when did he do the statistics to note that sisi kama wa Kisii, we are the most criminals in this country? And Honorable Speaker, as I finish, I just want to remind the Deputy President. Yesterday, he spent a lot of time reminding us that he is an orphan. And yet he forgot that there is one orphan that the Deputy President kept saying that he has put for him Mitego in State House. The Honorable Deputy President forgets that even the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is an orphan. Why did he forget that he was putting for him Mitego? I just want to tell the Deputy President that because of the utterances that you make against people of Kenya, you must go, and you will go home. I thank you.
Malulu Njendi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I arise to support this motion strongly. Mr. Speaker, this country has once suffered tribal clashes. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President has been always talking about Central Kenya, Mlima, etc., etc. Mr. Speaker, whipping up the tribal feelings. Mr. Speaker, if we allow the Deputy President to continue holding that particular position in the country, Mr. Speaker, what will happen in this country is that most of these other tribes will feel domination of this particular community, will feel intimidation by this community, and they will rise up, gang up against the community of Central Kenya, not because they are liking it, but because of his sentiments and because of what he speaks. Mr. Speaker, this person has been in office for 2 years, but he appears not to have had the conscience to know the kind of office he's holding, and that's why he speaks the way he speaks of regions. Mr. Speaker, I wonder how.
Order, honorable members, order.
I wonder how a person holding that kind of office can keep on talking of Kuweka Miteko State House for people who did not vote for this government, not to enter, not to access. Mr. Speaker, because of Kuweka Miteko, kila mahali kwa kona State House has affected some of us when he was still very active in State House, blocking us from accessing State House. Mr. Speaker, the whole issue of shares, I want to tell people from Western Kenya, we are suffering from this because of his input and insisting, embarrassing the president. When he wants to help persons from West Kenya, he says those people don't deserve to have the share they're having in the government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Robert Mbui. Robert Mbui.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Being in leadership, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I've noticed, listening to the arguments that have been passed here this afternoon, and also earlier in the morning, I've noticed that it's getting a little personal, and I'm feeling a little jittery, because I know the subject matter is a person who's a family man with a wife and children, and friends and relatives, and they're all listening. So I think maybe I will start by reading the Bible so that we can bring down the temperatures. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32 says, "Be kind, compassionate, and forgiving to each other in the same way God forgave you in Christ." Now, verse 31, Mr. Speaker, says, "Put aside all bitterness, losing your temper, anger, shouting, and slander, along with every other evil." Mr. Speaker, as a member of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, I didn't believe in the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. I opposed it from the beginning. Mr. Speaker, I am vindicated now because I can tell the people of Kadhiani that I said that this government is rudderless, is leaderless, is planless. And Mr. Speaker, is also merciless, because within a very short time, the center can no longer hold. Mr. Speaker, former Senator, now Governor James Orengo, famously said in Senate that governments eat their own people. Former leader of majority, of the National Assembly, Duale, was eaten by his government. Today is a CS. Former Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Kithure Kindiki, was eaten by his government. Now he's also a CS. Former Chair of Budget of this National Assembly was eaten by his government. Today is the majority leader. I don't know. We are now eating Rigiji. Where will he end up? Mr. Speaker, I have an issue of concern, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, is a Deputy Leader of Minority to assert that I was eaten by my own government, Honorable Speaker, whereas he knows I was never eaten by any government. I only stood firm against tyranny. I stood firm against the bullying that I experienced under that regime. The same bullying I have stood firm against a Deputy President today who has been bullying members of Parliament. And I have only put my chest forward to defend the rights of all these members, including the Honorable Robert Mbui, who was Honorable Speaker, when the Deputy President visited Kathiani. He said to the Honorable Mbui that these Kambas are too few. They can never make a president. Kalonzo can never be anything. How can you defend a person who has disdain for Kalonzo Musyoka, a former vice president of this country, Mbui?
Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I love the passion and the humor in the majority leader. But Mr. Speaker, I'm also impressed by the energy that I've seen in this house, the vigor, the passion from morning. I mean, it is the first bill, or rather it's the first motion where this House has gone up to public participation in the constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I only wish that the energy that we are expending here to send a question to all Kenyans about one individual was being used to fight the issues that are failing us in our education, in our health sector. People here, the cost of living has gone too high. People have no jobs. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that this House should passionately deal with. But Mr. Speaker, for a whole day, and from, I don't know, even the last week or 2 weeks, to deal with one matter, Mr. Speaker, I think that we are losing direction. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we deal with the things that are affecting our people. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the education sector, I talked about it here the other day. We don't even have classes for grade 9 going into JSS. Mr. Speaker, the funding model for university has failed. Mr. Speaker, the insurance sector, NHIF, is having a problem, Mr. Speaker. How then do we spend taxpayers' money and time to come and deal with a matter of one single individual, Mr. Speaker? Now we are told that this person, Mr. Speaker, is a tribalist. But Mr. Speaker, those comments that he made, yesterday he made it very clear. And I was shocked. I was very shocked, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, to realize that in fact Kenya Kwanza was actually a company that is limited by shares and that people negotiated shares for themselves. The mover of the motion is a member of MCCP. MCCP negotiated shares for Lower Eastern. Mr. Speaker, because we had 2 cabinet secretaries in this government. Now, Mr. Speaker, we only have 1. And I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, actions speak louder than words. The Deputy President may have said that he is a shareholder and there are issues about his community, but if you look at the appointments that are being made in Kenya, then you will realize that the person of the President himself is the one who is the biggest tribalist, Mr. Speaker, because he's appointing people from his own community for every position. Mr. Speaker, if we have to find a situation where a school has failed, you do not fire the deputy principal. You get rid of the principal. Our problem is not the deputy, it is the head.
Yes, Farah.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, Farah.
Mr. Speaker, I was standing. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Robert Mbui, you are normally more decent than that.
This is a house of... Mr. Speaker, protect me. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is this. This is a house of rules. This is a law-making body. This is the place where our constitution itself was passed. You cannot bring, talk about a president or even any other head of state of a friendly country without bringing a substantive motion. So you cannot discuss the conduct of the president. And by the way, I want to correct you. You might...
Point is out of order.
Your point of saying that governments eat their...
take your seat. Is out of order. Kahangara. Yes, use my.
Honorable Kahangara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Hold on a second, they're going to put for you the mic. Clerk, just yes, I can see the mic. Take the one next to Mheshimiwa Fulamu. Take that one, yes. He's gone to the one you had given him.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this motion. And I want to say that from the onset, I am in support of the motion, the special motion for the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Madam Speaker, let me say that this country, Kenya, is a country that is is led by a constitution, by laws, and a country that is led by of democracy. In this country, Mr. Speaker, every 5 years, Kenyans go to elections to elect their leaders, and after elections, for people to assume office, they take an oath of office where they say that they are going to respect the Constitution, they are going to protect the Constitution of this country. Mr. Speaker, when the Deputy President took oath of office, he promised that he was going to respect the Constitution of Kenya. In his responsibilities, we are told that the President is a symbol of national unity. He's the one who is supposed to be uniting this country and also to respect the diversity of the various communities and tribes in this country. In the same Constitution, it says that the Deputy President is the principal assistant to the President. So if he is the principal assistant to the President, meaning that he performs the duties that are performed by the President. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the Deputy President has gone around this country talking about shares, meaning that he has put all the tribes of this country into coalition. And I want to thank the member who brought this particular motion, because we are saving this country from somebody who is, I would call a suicide bomber, somebody who is ready to die, somebody who wants to die with Kenyans. And we want to say that we are ready to fight tribalism, ensure that this country continues in...
Your time is up, Kahangara. Kasheri. Give Honorable Njeri the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to vehemently oppose this motion on behalf of the great people of Kirinyaga. Honorable Speaker, it begs the question, does it not prick our conscience as a House that barely 4 months after passing the grossly unpopular finance bill, which the President himself refused and declined to assent to, that we're here discussing an impeachment motion of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya? Honorable Speaker, the young people of this nation unequivocally told us to fix high unemployment levels among the young people, gross corruption at all levels of government, accountability issues in regard to leadership, our ailing healthcare sector, among other things. Honorable Speaker, many young people died on that day, Honorable Speaker. Several others to date are still missing, Honorable Speaker. It begs the question, the priorities we have as a 13th Parliament. Honorable Speaker, the motion before us is frivolous, it is baseless, it is lacking in substance. It is nothing but a shambolic political scheme to hang the truthful man for merely being truthful. Honorable Speaker, we must redeem the 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker. We must ensure that we give...
Kasheri, take your seat. Yes, Donya. Give Donya the mic. Hold Jerry, you have about...
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is Honorable Gachagua in order to bring things which have passed, like the finance bill, when we are discussing about the impeachment motion? Those, and Gachagua is my friend, but this one you are wrong, my dear. We are discussing about the impeachment of Gachagua, not finance bill. Let the foregone be the foregone.
Honorable Speaker, I would want the honorable member, who is my very good friend, to point what standing order she rose on and what standing order can ensure that I do not speak on matters that have been controverted and that are public information, Honorable Speaker. We passed the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. It is a matter of fact. Even if you boo me, I will speak. The young people of this nation deserve more. They want jobs. They want healthcare sorted. The impeachment of the deputy president is a sham political process.
Kasheri, order. Jerry shall be heard in silence and dignity. But Jerry, your time is up. Women rep of Migori. Yes, Wanjala. What is out of order? Give Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the person who is accused, whom we are debating, was supposed to be here by 5. It is 7 minutes past 5.
He actually is.
Mr. Speaker, can we bar him from coming because he's late?
Wanjala, he's already here. Yes. Migori women rep. Give to Fatuma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Kindly protect me, Mr. Speaker. I can't be heard, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Excuse me, Honorable Member. Please give me time to speak. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity you have given me. And as I stand here as a Muslim, I don't know when I'll die. In case I die before the impeachment time, I vote yes, Gachagua must go. Mr. Speaker, I will take you to the Bible, Proverbs 23, 10, verse 11. And it says, please keep quiet. And it says, don't move an old stone that marks a border. And don't take things that belong to the orphans. And it says, God, their defender, is told, he will take their side against you. I want Gachagua to know, the former deputy president of Kenya should know that when you touch anything of the orphans, it is not Kenya Kwanza, it is not Azimio, but it is God Almighty that will put the fire on you. I will return to the Quran. The Holy Quran in Surah An-Nisa said, surely those who eat up property of the orphans unjustly, they only eat fire into their bellies, and soon